Tatiana Weiford. I'm a biology major at Virginia State University.
Hello, I am Avery Monroe. I'm a chemistry major with a concentration in biochemistry at Virginia State University. We spent the last summer studying the tadpole deposition behaviors of a frog known as the three-striped poison dart frog, or Ameerega trivittata.
Parental care can be seen in animals all over the planet. Parental care is usually expensive for parent organisms, but it helps to extend the life of the offspring. For example, ducklings follow their mothers, male baboons carry their young, female cats lactate and feed their kittens, and male seahorses incubate the eggs of their broods.
There can also be parent-offspring conflict. Parent-offspring conflict is seen as a disagreement over how long the period of parental investment should last, over how much parental investment should be given, and over the altruistic and egoistic tendencies of the offspring as these tendencies affect other relatives. For example, in Manx shearwaters, parents reduce the potential parent-offspring conflict by making their foraging decisions based on the offspring's body condition instead of their own. When chicks are in poor body condition, the parent's foraging trips are shorter, benefiting the chicks. When chicks are in a good body condition, the trips are longer, benefiting the parent's body condition. Amphibians also participate in parental care. As of 2007, 10 to 15% of anurans, also identified as frogs and toads, have exhibited parental care.
Many different frog species have been known to carry their young tadpoles on their dorsum or back in order to transport them from their birthplace to a place where they can grow and flourish. Tadpole transport was first described 150 years ago. In some frog species, the tadpole eggs are laid on leaves and guarded by a male. The tadpoles move onto the parent's back after hatching. The parental frog moves the tadpoles to another aquatic habitat such as a pool, pond, or stream to continue to develop.
Literature has noted that other Dendrobatidae species have other ways of transporting and depositing their tadpoles into a body of water. However, none of them specifically dictate what that behavior is. Most documented the tadpoles swimming off into the water on their own. Researchers at Virginia State University observed Ameerega trivittata forcibly removing the tadpoles from their back into the water. This appears to represent parent-offspring conflict because the tadpoles want to stay on the parent's back and the frog wants to get them off.
After observing this behavior, a hypothesis was created and tested. We tested the hypothesis that male three-striped poison frogs would be efficient in removing tadpoles from their backs in order to minimize the potential costs. We then examined the literature published about other species to determine the prevalence of this tadpole deposition behavior, materials, and methods. Our model, the three-striped poison frog, or Ameerega trivittata, can be found in South America. 20 videos of male transport and deposition in the Brownsburg National Park, Suriname, South America, were analyzed. This is an image of one of our frogs with tadpoles mounted on his back for transport. This is an image of the location of where research was conducted on the map of South America. The small red square on the right of the image shows the Brownsburg Nature Park where the videos were taken. Finally, this is an example of puddles that Ameerega trivittata were recorded in during the research.
Results. Tatiana and I spent the summer analyzing these recorded videos and quantifying the behaviors that were found. The main behavior that was observed was the forcible removal of the tadpoles from the dorsum of the parental male frog. This behavior has been named scraping. A scrape is when the male lifts one hind leg in an upward movement to the dorsum and scrapes the foot across the dorsum in a downward movement to remove the tadpole. Here is a video. In this video, the male's scrape was unsuccessful in removing a tadpole from the dorsum. In this video, the male's scrape was successful in removing a tadpole from the dorsum. This graph shows the frequency of successful versus unsuccessful scrapes.
One theory that surfaced was that the tadpoles did not want to leave the back of the male parental frog. After being deposited, the tadpoles tend to swim in a circular pattern around the frog. The frog almost always jumps away from the deposited tadpole. This is a video of the parental male's response to a tadpole removed from the dorsum with a scrape.
After documenting and quantifying this tadpole deposition behavior, a literature search was conducted to determine the relevance of this behavior. We searched to find whether other papers had been written about the exact way tadpoles were being deposited. From searching the literature, it seems as though this behavior has never been recorded before in papers. This is a phylogenetic comparison of other poison frog genera. We compared 20 genera of poison frogs, and we found that the only descriptor of deposition method of other poison frogs was swim off in water. And this is a phylogenetic comparison of other Ameerega species. We examined all 29 Ameerega species for mention of scraping behavior as well. The only descriptor of a deposition method we found was use of flowing water.
Discussion. 93% of the scrapes resulted in failure to remove tadpoles. This means that this is very energetically costly to the frogs with little success.
As a response to being touched by tadpoles, and in one instance, a dragonfly naiad, the frog would jump to another location in the pond. This appears to be because the parental males do not want the tadpoles to reattach following deposition.
The tadpoles would swim in an erratic, circular, or straight swimming pattern upon removal. This appears to be because the tadpoles want to remount the dorsum of the male and are looking for a way to do so.
Our research concluded that there is no evidence of scraping in other frog species. This might be because scraping is energetically costly with little success. There also might be a lack of evidence of scraping behavior in other species because it has not been documented. Only 5 of 20 genera have descriptions of how tadpoles are deposited into the water. Only 4 of the 29 species of Ameerega have descriptions of deposition behavior. In other species, the tadpoles simply swim off the parent's back. Researchers have studied these frogs in other countries, so maybe scraping is unique in our population. However, since we filmed the frogs, it is also possible that researchers did not make careful observations, so scraping was overlooked.
In conclusion, scraping behavior is energetically costly. We also documented the parent-offspring conflict where the tadpoles wanted to remain on the dorsum of the male, but the male was attempting to forcibly remove them. The tadpoles also appeared to want to reattach to the frog after being kicked off, but the frog would respond by jumping away. In the future, more research can be done on this topic. Studying other species to see how widespread this behavior is would give a better understanding of tadpole deposition. We never saw a frog get rid of all of its tadpoles, and some even went back into the rainforest to return the next day. Following the males from start to finish can be another way to measure the success rate of scraping. Finally, to understand the exact energetic expense of the scraping behavior, the metabolic expense of the frog's scraping could be measured.
And for acknowledgments, we did this research with the help of our university, Virginia State University, and our professor and mentor, Dr. Dorjaks. We would like to thank our collaborators, Victoria and Raween as well, and we would also like to thank the National Science Foundation, HBCU UP, for funding this project.